Here we are at Imola. Just had to remind myself what circuit we're at. Qualifying one for the sprint race. First sprint of the season for a 2-season break. Didn't have it last season, so you have to go back 2 seasons since we last had it. Anyway, you should all know that. You're good at maths. First run, we were pole. 2 purple sectors, Sector 2 and Sector 3. Sebastian Vettel had Sector 1 purple by a couple thousandths of a second. 23 if you want to be exact. Lewis was down in 7th, Charles was up in 5th, and Verstappen in 2nd place, 9/10 behind me. After the session though, Verstappen, Charles and Lewis all improved a slight bit, and all of them became within the devil's number of me in milliseconds, with Max, Charles and Lewis taking 2nd, 3rd and 4th respectively. On to qualifying 2, and we took provisional pole position again, a little bit stronger of a margin after the first run, 1.07 seconds instead of 9/10. All 3 purple sectors, a little bit quicker in the first sector, and well, to be honest, 1/10 quicker in the first sector, 2/10 in the third sector, and 2/10 in the final sector. So we went 5/10 quicker across the entire lap. So did the AI though. Lewis was in 6th, Verstappen in 8th, and Charles was not in the top 10. However, as we go to the end results, Max took 2nd place, 1.015 seconds behind me. Lewis put himself 5th place, and Charles put himself 7th place. All of the top 6 drivers from the top 3 teams though getting into Q3. Speaking of, started really poor. I can't remember what happened. No rain, but as we finished our first run, we were only 4/10 ahead of Charles in 2nd place, a 1:17.8 instead of a 1:17.1. So of course, we did not have all the purple sectors. Lando took purple sector 1. We had purple sector 2 and 3. 3/10 lost in the middle sector, 2/10 in the final sector, and 1/10 loss in the first sector, compared to qualifying 2, resulting in the 7/10. 1, 3, a little bit of rounding errors, of course. Charles took 2nd place provisionally, Verstappen 3rd, and Lewis 5th. At the end of the session, luckily, on the 5-time speed, AI glitch times are not as powerful, so we stayed 1st. Max only improved by 2/10, went to 2nd place, Charles 3rd place, Lewis down in 8th place, not able to improve upon his first lap. And so we only have 2 worries in the sprint, Max and Charles, and their respective teammates, 4th and 6th, of course. So not looking good for the constructors, but it's looking good for the drivers. So let's go win the sprint and put ourselves on pole position for the main race. Let's go.
Welcome to today's sprint. This is shaping up to be another fantastic weekend. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting sprint. What a qualifying yesterday for George Russell. He'll start today's race from pole position, edging out Max Verstappen, who'll start from P2. Looking at the rest of today's grid, we have Leclerc, Perez, Daniel Ricciardo and Sainz, Ocon, Hamilton, Norris and Guan Yu Zhou, Vettel, Fernando Alonso, Kevin Magnussen and Mick Schumacher, Bottas, Gasly, Lance Stroll and Alex Albon, Sonoda and Nicholas Latifi. And with preparations almost complete, let's head trackside for today's sprint.
Oh! Oh my god, this is so brilliant. Oh, I don't need my laptop anymore. The audio's coming through the app.
I know what you can do. Don't let me down.
I can hear you, Mark, through my phone. Oh, that's brilliant. Okay, I've just realised that. Okay, strategy. Mediums. Fuel. About 21 laps. Let's bring it down to 20. 20.6 will do. The little things. 3.5. Yeah, it should be fine. I don't see anything wrong with that. That looked like a little bit of rain at the end. Well, the icons are 0, 5, 10, 15, 30, 45, 60. Okay, ignore the 0, 5, 10, 15, 30, 45, 90, 2 hours. So we're not getting any rain. Let's go. Right. Here we are for the Imola GP. I say we just get underway, don't we? So we've angered ourselves so we don't get mugged off into turn 1. Whether in real life they're actually going to be able to do that with the new grid slots, I'm not actually sure. Be interesting to see. In turn 1 we actually got a good start and we maintained first position, and Max already dropping back a little, and we are making sure to get a DRS gap before lap 3. So that was quite easy. That's sector 1 done. Why don't I just do that? At lap 2 he was a little bit close, and into turn 1 he did try around the outside, and we just let him go because we didn't need to be ahead of him at this stage. There was no harm in letting him go. Yes, judging by qualifying 1 and 2 we were a lot quicker, but qualifying 3 we were a lot slower. But we were only 4 tenths quicker than Max. Down into turn 1 on lap 3, little bit of contact, he locks up, and I managed to get myself back past. Now I should have a DRS gap, but it's going to be quite hard. And this one I am going to go on board because, as you would have seen, there was a bit of contact. There we go, down towards the inside. You don't really give me much space. Because the track jinks little left, I think that's what's initiated the contact. Because I'm staying straight in the brake zone, but Max is moving. Let's see. Yeah, Max. He's just turned left, not needing to. I mean, obviously I could have followed alongside the circuit as well, but I'm going to be turning it. Yeah, I should have actually. There would have been contact about here anyway, so it's only inevitable, but this one was caused by Max just slightly turning left. Yeah, Max turns into me. Yes, we are going to make contact anyway, but it's Max that starts the contact. And then lap 4, was it lap 4? No. It's lap 5. We make quite the horrendous mistake. Just at the end of sector 1. We'd just broken DRS, but obviously down the straight, gaining on us. We weren't the quickest in the speed trap, and instead we were the quickest in the gravel trap. Just went a little bit wide, and as you can see, just dipped the left tyres in the gravel. 9 tenths quickly goes down to 5 tenths. Yes, 6 tenths on the 8. Oh no, 4 tenths. And then lap 6. We did the exact same thing. This time it was a little bit worse. I think we went a little bit further into the gravel trap, so that wasn't ideal. But it was fine, we didn't lose the position. Didn't really go much more into the gravel. In fact, we went less into the gravel. We were just in there longer. 7 tenths as they enter the gravel. Then by the time we get to the corner, it's 4 tenths. So we lost about 3 tenths. 4 tenths on exit. So it's a lot better this time around, I think. But still shouldn't have happened. And Racengineer, wrong sector. In sector 2, Racengineer, well, no point, you already saw it. Engine went up in smoke, and so he had to pull over and retire from the Grand Prix. That would have been a warning for me, but no warning in the race director for Joe. How unfair. Almost contact with Mick as he pulls over to the right hand side of the circuit. I don't know why the AI is so bad when it comes to cars that are retiring. Like, that could have ended Mick's race. Just like Ricardo with Magnussen in Australia. Which was yesterday for me. Just so you know. And then you have to go to lap 18. Because I made quite a mistake. So at this point we've got a 3.9 second gap. Just in case we got a penalty late in the race sprint, but we didn't. But I obviously don't know this at the time, because if I'm at the wrong angle, I can't see it because of the sun. So coming out of Tosa, I want to say. I don't think it's called Toes of the Hairpin, but I've hazarded a guess. And so, made a mistake, lost 4 seconds. Charles almost overtook us into the left-hander, but we were able to stay ahead, but obviously now Charles is really close to me. So, as we head in onto the DRS straight on lap 19, he was able to pull alongside almost before the timing line, as Daniel Ricciardo retired. Where is he? Nope, he's not in shot. Okay. We'll just finish sector 1 and then we'll go to Ricciardo. So, Yeah, that was quite a torrid lap for me. Oh, when only was in shot. Lap 18. Yeah, 3 seconds from anyone. And his engine just gave up. Unfortunate, because it was quite a good race for a sprint at the moment. Obviously, last season, along with Vettel, Latifi, Schumacher. Looked like Bottas had to pit for damage. I just want to see when he disappears. I don't know why the camera shakes so much. All the fences. That was me. How didn't I see him? That's really weird how I didn't see him. Anyway, lap 20, we had the DRS, and this time, again, we went on the outside, but Charles locked up, and we just nipped underneath, just like we did last season with Verstappen, and I think it was Leclerc as well. Making sure to give space so that we don't make contact this time, because that's what we did last season with both with Charles. I think Max made contact with his teammate, or it was the other way around, and Max made contact with us whilst Charles made contact with Checo. But we nip underneath, Charles making an error, and we put ourselves back into P1 to go win the sprint. Just on board with Charles, because he lost a lot of positions. I think he went down all the way to Lando. Yeah, nice luck up. Oh, what are you doing? So weird how the AI rejoined the circuit. Yep. Just past halfway between Lewis and Lando. Anyway, these two battle. I wish it was someone with Max, because Max is now in DRS. However, it didn't matter. Yeah, he was in DRS, but last lap just broke it, and we're going for fastest lap. Valtteri had it at this point in time because he had to pit. So we were trying to take it. At this stage, we were 4 tenths away from his fastest lap, so we needed to improve by 4 tenths. Not quite able to. We improved by about 2 tenths. I don't know how that got me a 17.8 from a 19.8 from a 20.1, but I must have done a 20.0 somewhere in the race. It didn't matter in the end because Verstappen did a 19.4 somewhere. But we won the sprint, 8 points, no point for fastest lap, so it doesn't matter too much. And Max Verstappen there, going past the screen. No point for fastest lap for him, and he loses 1 point in the championship to me. Why has Max got 33? He's champion. It's Grand Prix mode. He should have the number 1. He has the number 1. I don't think anyone will have the number 1. $55, 11, 44. I can't see. 16. That's 14, 5, 31, 10. Can just see 20. Just see the 23, 18, 22. 6. 77. Why has no one got the number 1? Max should have it. Anyway, that's the end of the sprint. I'll see you again for the race after the sprint debrief, which will be taking place now.
You join us here in Imola as we prepare for what will undoubtedly be a magnificent day of racing. It's time, of course, for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. 3.1 miles of track at Imola featuring 19 turns, 9 to the right and 10 to the left. Remember that Imola differs from most other Formula One tracks as it's taken anti-clockwise. Let's hope nobody forgets that today. The exit from turn 18 will probably be the setup for many of today's overtakes, leading as it does into the longest straight on the circuit and its only DRS zone. Let's run you through the driver grid order for today's exciting race. George Russell will begin today's event in pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Sainz, Perez, and Sir Lewis Hamilton, and Leclerc, Norris, Fernando Alonso, Vettel, and Esteban Ocon, Gasly, Magnussen, Alex Albon, and Stroll, Tsunoda, Latifi, Mick Schumacher, and Valtteri Bottas, Ricciardo, and Guan Yu Zhou. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track where preparations are underway. And I'm delighted, as always, to introduce Anthony Davidson, who'll be taking you through all the action alongside me today. Should we kick off our conversation with George Russell?
Well, it was a really impressive lap in qualifying to get pole position, but are they going to be able to hold on to the lead into the first corner with so many quick starters around them? A couple of favourites for the win then, but who comes out on top doesn't really matter as long as they give us an entertaining show en route to the checkered flag. And we want to see fair fighting, of course, out there on the track. Let's hope the stewards don't have to get involved too much today.
So, seems like Anthony Davidson forgot about qualifying is actually a sprint and whatnot. Weird tyre strategies from mostly AI there. Most of them in the top 10 started on the hards. See what that does for them. The game's automatically set us to go soft, but let's see if we can do medium hards. Looks about 3.6 advantage. Let's see what double soft can. Let's see what the soft strategy can do. Let's go soft, medium. Don't know why I didn't just reset the other one really. 1.2, 1.4. Ooh, that's gaining some time. It's looking good. 2 seconds. It's looking good. 2.4 is the best I've seen at the moment. But it's still too slow compared to the medium hards. Take out the fuel. Go to about. Take out 0.63. Maybe 0.63 times 1.5, which is roughly 0.9. Nope, taking out double, 1.26. Okay, should be fine. I'm still so surprised about my recording app letting me able to hear the audio. sorry about that. That's not important. Here we are in the race. I might sound a little bit cheerier than the sprint because I'm a lot more awake. 2 hours more awake. Anyway, sprint. That was a good race. That was a good one. I keep calling it a race. Technically it is. It's a sprint. I should just call it the sprint. Anyway, the race. Let's see if it was a good one as well. So green flags are waving, 5 red lights are on. And it's lights out and away we go. Get a little bit slower launch than Max. And into turn 1, Max has already got us. Colour signs behind. Did have a look down our inside, however, that was shortly followed by Perez trying to go down his outside. So we were safe for second. Max did get a poor run out of turn 2, but we couldn't capitalise on it, and so we stayed in P2. Yep, just gets a better pull away, and already passed us for P1. And then into turn 1 you can see signs. It takes a weird line. He takes a really weird line, so he gets a poor run. But we couldn't capitalise on it, and so we'll have to wait till lap 2 to have our first attempt at getting past him. So on lap 2, we didn't really have the... Yes, we had the ERS, but we didn't really have enough allocation for this lap to try and get past him on the main straight, so we had to wait. You did have a look around the outside, nothing doing, and so I'll have to wait for helping hand of DRS. But we tried before DRS again on lap 3. This time not even close enough to have a look down the outside. Never mind making an overtake. So we had to wait. Did get a good run. Did try and spook him into turn 5. That is it's turn 4 and 5. But nothing worked. So lap 4 we had DRS, and so this was going to be the best opportunity. We did try and go around the outside because, well, everyone seems to lock up as when I'm around there outside, but he closed that off, and so I instantly went to the inside, knew I had to get past him, and so I finally did. It was a little bit hairy on the outside. It was a little bit late, but it was fine. Because here we are. Pull towards the outside, nothing dares. Pull towards the inside. No contact. Almost contact though. About 3 times. But in the end, no contact, no damage. And we were in the lead to of the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. Oh, lap 4. Track limits. I'm just going to quickly show you the 3 times we almost made contact. Okay, that looks a lot closer from here. And then second time. Okay, that one's close. And then the third time. Do I give enough space? That looks plenty of space. Why are you on the yellow curb, Max? Well, that was nowhere near. Why are you on the yellow curb? You don't need to be. I gave you plenty of space. Actually, I'm not surprised. But this is where I track extended. It's like the most popular area to do it for any player. Nice curbs though. Already built a nice margin, but that's because Max got a terrible line through turn 2 over the curbs. I don't know what they. Oh, this might have been the penalty warning as well. Let me just check the rest of that. So technically I should have been 2/3 of the way through to a penalty on a single lap alone. Anyway, nothing. And so we have to go to lap 26 with Ricciardo. Making good progress. Coming to the pit lane onto the medium tyres from the hards. very weird to go so short on the hards and so long on the mediums. Especially after, 27 laps, I got the orange icon to tell me 60% on the tyre wear. And they're going over half the race on medium tyres. So, I don't understand it. But it worked for them when their engine didn't blow up. Yep, Ricciardo's engine gave out for a second time in one weekend. Very unfortunate for him. And so, yeah, nothing he can do. Hopefully he doesn't have to take more penalties in Miami. Kind of surprised myself for the fact that Miami's next. I don't know how. Also, that almost was a warning. By my reckoning, I should probably have about 4-5 penalties this race. That's surely got to be a warning, but no, it wasn't. Only 2 incidents in the race director today. Lap 4, my track extension, and lap 26, Daniel Ricciardo retiring. Anyway, we came into the box at the end of lap 28. I don't know how the hell Latifi's second. Made sure we didn't speed. Unfortunately, we only got a green turn in. Turned in a little bit too early, and a little bit slow of stop onto hards. Good release, and we come out into the race in P1. It's still. Yes, Latifi is going long on hards, but still, I don't understand how he's second. Surely Valtteri should be second, if anyone's going to be second. And then the fact that Max is only 1 second behind him as well. I don't understand how Latifi's second. Anyway, we're back into the race. Now Valtteri Bottas is second. Weaving, no cars around us, so it's fine. And to try and get temperature. And that was probably a track extension. Almost. I have a feeling that's going to be a theme of the race. Almost a track extension. Anyway, the sun came out. Except towards turn 1. That stayed cloudy. Whereas blue skies over that way. There's the sun. No, you shouldn't look right at it. But who cares? That ain't clear. Was it? That's just the sun. Okay. Let's make you 12 o'clock. I don't know why I'm doing this, I'm just doing it because it's fun. Alright, I know it's a game, but like... I don't know much about where suns are in Italy, but I have a feeling it shouldn't be directly above at 12 o'clock in the day. 12 PM. Anyway, we had a little menace on our rear end. It's irrelevant. Nope. But it was all because of this lap 45. So entering sector 2, no mistake at a hairpin. I'm pretty sure it's called Tosa or Tosa. I think that was a helicopter. that shadow. Anyway, heading towards turn 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Turn 10, I believe. Almost going into the wall. Yeah, very lucky not to. I just got on the curb, and as you can see, Racengineer closing in on us. Little menace. Stayed in my DRS for about 10 laps. Okay, maybe a little bit less. But anyway. Yeah, turn 7. Heading to turn 8, the right hander. Turn 9, then turn 10. Car did not like that, and I did not like that, but we managed to save it. So what happened? Well, I think I just planted too much fuel. In the car, I thought I did the exact same as what I normally did, but it seems like I didn't. In the car, I thought I did the exact same as I normally do, and that it was the curb just spat me off. I am a little bit more left on the curb, but I think I'm just trying to make up an excuse when it was clearly my mistake, just a little bit too much throttle, and sent us elves into a spin. Luckily braking came off. I don't know why it rotates the car when you come off the brakes. I know it locks up, but well, no, I exactly know why. Because you're locking up and you're releasing the brakes and you stop the wheels from locking up. But I don't know why it works so well, and why I can't do it in trail braking in the actual corners. I guess I'm not putting enough brake on. Well, these fans had certainly quite the show watching me spin. Yep, almost hit myself into the wall. What am I saying? I can't English at the moment. I can't speak English at the moment. Anyway, Joe was a little menace. Stayed in our DRS for about 5 laps. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He got closer and closer. 6, 7. Then his soft started to die. 8, and eventually. What? So the first lap was his lap 45. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 laps in my DRS. I haven't seen me right. 51, 50, 49, 48, 47, 46, 45. Yeah, that's right, never mind. And at one point, I set the fastest lap. But Joe, being in my DRS, took it from me. And on the radio, I showed my distaste in that and said, Joe, go away. Yeah, he was annoying, but then he dropped out of DRS because his soft tyres died, because he had to pit for front wing damage, and then he pitted again for soft tyres, and that was the end of that. Who did he hit to? Ooh, that's very unlucky. Although that is, ooh. Joe just turns in a little bit earlier than he should have. That's why he gets the front wing damage. Oh well. That doesn't affect me anymore. And on the final lap, even with less than 10% of ERS, we set the fastest lap by 3 tenths to my previous personal best. At this point, I did take the fastest lap back, but as you'll see on the lap graph, I was going about a second quicker than earlier in the race, which is why we are now 20 seconds ahead of Max again. So yeah, it was a good race. Found out I could brake a little bit later into turn 1, about 75 meters instead of 100. Didn't quite build the courage to brake 50 meters into the penultimate corner. Instead I stayed at 25. It didn't matter. We came across the line to win the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, the sprint as well as qualifying pole. Not much better than that, can it be? So yeah, now we have a large margin in the championship, and we've got Miami, which is not my favourite. Actually, we don't really do well around there. But yeah, it's similar pace compared to the AI as Australia. So as long as we don't get a penalty, we should be fine. And as long as we don't get mugged off down the straight. We pull 1 second in the first sector, and then we're good for the rest of the race, I believe, on lap 1. We pull 1 second in the first sector on lap 1, we shouldn't have to worry about anything for the rest of the race. So that'll be good. Right, I got nothing else. I'll hand you over to the race debrief. I don't know why I'm saying hand you over. It's the exact same person, just a couple of days later. Warm welcome to those in attendance for the Monday morning debrief of the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, like I did in Bahrain. The attendees are Bobbi Winter, driver, Mark Priestley, race engineer of said driver, Toto Wolff, the team principal of the team, and Rosie Waite, head of strategy. Now, a few notes before we get started. Notifications for phones do need to be off. There was one that went off in a previous debrief. It was in the Bahrain or Saudi Arabian one. Please make sure they are off before we get started. Now that that's out of the way, let's get started and about the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. This one being a sprint weekend, of course. So first off, we have the sprint result, and the only bad thing we can think of is lap 18. We did have a half spin, but we did win the sprint, and Lewis and Charles in P5 and P6. So that half spin did result in losing a position to Charles on the very next lap. On lap 19, we did have to fight back and overtake him on lap 20 or 19 as well. But we did get the overtake done. It did result in Charles going down into P6. However, that is not our fault. Charles just defended very awkwardly and put himself in a poor position. And then, so yeah, that basically leads on to the next 2 points. We won the sprint, and Lewis and Charles on P5 and P6. Obviously, thanks to Lewis's poor result in qualifying 3, we were able. Lewis only got P5. On to the race results. Then we won't do the drivers and constructors championships from in between the sprint and the race because it makes no point. We're looking back at the whole weekend, not each individual day. Lap 45, the only mistake of the race, where we half spun. This time there was no one close to us to lose a position to, and so it meant that we won with fastest lap. And to top it off, Charles did not improve upon his starting position, and finished P6. Now, yes, technically he finished ahead of his teammate Carlos, but Lando was able to get ahead of him and basically swap positions with Carlos. So, on to the Drivers' Championships now. And technically we didn't have to do one for Australia and Saudi, but I really couldn't be bothered to go digging this time, and I could not think of anything bad in the Drivers' Championship. We have the target gap to second place, and all of our expected rivals are over 2 race victories away from us in P1. Those rivals being, of course, Hamilton, Verstappen, and Leclerc. The teammates of respected are Sainz in P2 and Perez in P9. So the only one we really have to worry about is Sainz in P2, but we've got about a 45 point gap to him in second place, so it's all good. And so I do not see anything wrong, so we can move on to constructors. And again, I don't want to go digging, and I could not find anything bad in the Constructors' Championship. We've extended our lead, and Ferrari and Red Bull are close to 2 1-2s away from us at the top of the leaderboard. Alpine over 1-2 away as well, but we don't worry about Alpine. Ocon won't get enough points to challenge us in the championship, even with Alonso getting a couple podiums across the season. So yeah, Red Bull getting a little bit good as of late, but still not enough to really affect us in the championship. On to the lap graph now. First off, from the sprint, obviously lap 18, the mistake caused a slow lap. However, the good things were that there were no yellows when Max overtook, and then we re-overtook him on lap 2 and lap 3. And there were no yellows when we overtook Charles and Charles overtook us. So that's really good. Nice progress, nice consistency across the entire sprint there from you, Bobbi. However, it would be nice if it was completely green. Apart from lap 1, of course, we can't ask you to get a green on lap 1. But if we could get a green on every lap except lap 1, that'd be great. And then maybe even some purples on the last 10 laps, of course. We don't need to risk anything in the sprint, so I understand why you didn't do that necessarily, but it'd be nice to show that you're progressing and you are getting faster around each circuit whilst driving around, not just driving around for the fun of it. On to the race then, and it seems like you went in time, travelled in time and listened to my feedback, and you set some purples towards the end of the race. However, we've got to first talk about the lap 46 mistake that caused the only yellow in this race. Of course, we do have the 2 yellows from the in and out lap of the pit stop and lap 1. However, again, those do not count. So let's go on to the purples then. The last 10 laps were almost all purple, only 2 greens, ruining that. Well, technically 3 greens, because there's 7 purple there, and to make 10, that'd have to be 3 greens. So it would have been nice if we got those 3 other greens to be purples as well. But the fact that you're able to get 7 purples is still quite amazing, seeing as in Australia you weren't able to, and Australia you weren't able to either, and Saudi Arabia, I think, I'm not sure about that one. However, consistent pace throughout the entirety of the second stint, very flat line after your mistake, and not so much a flat line before the mistake, but still very good in the second stint. First stint was a little bit wobbly towards the beginning, to be honest, throughout the first 10 laps, and then with a couple of purples, but still consistent pace throughout the entirety of the second stint, all within at least a second of each other. So it's really good. Now let's go on to the 8 images that represent this weekend. Bobbi, you sent us an image of the start of the race for your bad image, and the results of qualifying 2 for the good image. Mark, you sent us a bad image of lap 2 from the sprint when Max overtook, and the Drivers' Championship for the good image. Toto, for your bad image, you sent us the amount of cars in between Lewis and Bobbi in qualifying 3, but for your good image, you sent the results of the race with a double podium. Rosie, your bad image was the spin in the race, but more, with reference to both spins in the race and sprint. And your good image was the fact that we got no penalties in either the race or the sprint. So without further ado, let's get on to the your images, Bobbi, and we can have a little talk about them. So, poor start to the race, and a large margin in qualifying 2. So let's talk about the poor start. The start was so poor that Max was over a car length ahead into turn 1, and we were able to take the normal racing line into technically turn 2. Even with the angled setup of the car, you weren't quite able to get a good start. However, it is progress, and we have found that the other competitors are really speedy on the start of the race. If we could find something to help you, we will try and find it and implement it for you, but at the moment just try and stick to what you're doing, because you're not losing as many positions as you were in previous seasons. So if you stick to getting the revs just below 12,000 before the light, if you stick to getting the revs to just before the lights come on the dash, and then try and short shift and apply more throttle as the lights go out, and then obviously on the formation lap just get the tyres up to about 90-95 degrees. That'd be splendid. The qualifying 2 margin, 1 second. That's literally how much time we need to spend on this bit. Brilliant in qualifying 2. Keep that pace up for the rest of the weekend. You pretty much did, and if we can keep that pace for the rest of the season, we will be quite handy dandy, especially in the your worst circuits of the season, namely Monaco, Azerbaijan, and Singapore. 2 of which are coming up in the next 4 races. Yes, I did have to quickly work that out in my head. On to Mark's images then. Got overtaken by Max on lap 2 in the sprint, and a healthy gap in the Drivers' Championship. Now, you kind of did go nitpicking for the bad image. I can't blame you. These are the ones where we do have to go nitpicking, because otherwise we have nothing to talk about. But obviously, the large gap in the Drivers' Championship more than makes up for the amount of nitpicking that we're having to do. So yeah, Max overtaking us in the sprint. It would have been better if we did keep P1 throughout the whole of it, especially in the early stage when we can build a larger gap. I doubt an extra lap behind, a lap behind Max would have actually changed anything, especially when Charles came and overtook us, because we were able to overtake him anyway, and it didn't affect our finishing position in the sprint. On the Drivers' Championship then, like I said, with the sprint victory and the race victory, we are just extending our gap over Sainz even more every race. So whilst Max can't get any good races, it's crucial that we keep extending the gap. Whilst Max isn't close to us, whilst Max isn't close to second in the championship, it's crucial that we just keep building that gap to second, so that when he is in second, we've got a large buffer and we don't have to worry about the gap slowly increasing in case we make a mistake or retire from a Grand Prix. On to Toto's images then. The bad image was a large total of cars in between the drivers in Q3. However, in the race we got a double podium. Brilliant. Q3, yes, the 6 cars in between Bobbi and Lewis is a sign that we do need Lewis to pick up the pace. It would be greatly appreciated if Lewis could start higher up in the start higher up. Obviously, in the sprint, we only get a point per position that we gain in the top 8. However, it makes our race much easier in the actual race if we start higher up. So, if someone could have a word with Lewis and mention that to him, I'm sure he'd take that on board very well. However, like I said, it doesn't really matter too much. He was able to get a double podium in the sprint, in the race. However, if he started higher up in the sprint and therefore in the race, he may have been able to challenge Max for the victory, or for second place, sorry. Although there is a 20-second gap between Max and Lewis, so I doubt Lewis would have lost 20 seconds overtaking the 2 or 3 drivers that he needed to get into third. On to Rosie's head strategy images then. And straight away on the tyre wear side, the 2 spins did not help, definitely, especially when we having to go full brake to slow the car down. What didn't help either was the fact that they both went in the same direction, to the left. So if you can be a little bit more cautious on the throttle, I know you have broke the pedal, and again we are trying to find an issue. We are trying to solve the issue. However, we haven't been able to find the leading cause of the problem so far, and so we haven't been able to come up with any solutions. I do believe though that if we did come up with any solutions, it would greatly help you in the start of the races as well, as probably throttle application is being hindered by the broken throttle pedal, and therefore the start is not as good as we would all like. However, even with turn 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, even with the very easy ability to track extend at turn 8 and corner cut for turn 10, we had no track limit warnings at all in either the sprint or the race. So very good job there. No penalties to factor in, no safety cars to factor in. So we had no scares like we did in Australia, and that is all very good. And if no one has any questions, I believe we can wrap it up there for the end of the Monday morning debrief. So thank you for listening to the Monday morning review of the Emilia Romagna Grand Prix. We'll meet up again for the Miami Grand Prix in a short while. Right, back to actual me now. You know when I said in Australia Grand Prix, in the Australian race video, that I'd have a video out on Monday for the EA announcements? Well, the teaser trailer's not coming out till Wednesday, which is technically when this is going to come out, probably. And I don't really have a lot of time this week, so I'll try and get them out as soon as I can. I'm trying to get them out by the end of this week. Will I be able to? I don't think so. The actual Miami Grand Prix is happening this weekend, so yeah, I'll try and get them out. But other than that, have a good rest of your day, and I'll see you. The next video will be Miami. I'll see you for Miami.